Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Virgo. If Virgo is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so, my fellow Virgos, welcome and thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is truly an honor. I know that time is, well, one of our most precious resources. And so for you to allow me to spend this time communing with you, it means the world to me. All right, we have the Lust card. I'm not sad. It's also the Strength card. We have this beautiful image of Babylon riding the beast, or the Scarlet Woman, right? Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to see what these tea leaves want to tell us tonight. And so if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little button. It looks like a bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. Also, if you want to hit the like button or leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. Okay, so we have a house. You can see right here, kind of the square and the little chimney. Looks like something maybe one of my daughter's age group kids, maybe preschool kids, might draw it like this. Hey, I might draw the house like this. Let's be real. It also looks like an apple, okay? So we also have within a person standing here, and you can see the little head, almost like they have a bun, like their hair's up on the back there. And we have what looks like maybe... It looks like a hawk. It reminds me of a glyph of Horus, which we know is the solar deity of the Egypto-pantheons. And I think through all, really, not just kind of the modern era of the Egyptian mysteries. But so a very central energy, deity, right? The sun, the soul. And on the other side, we have a person who looks like they are wearing maybe like a robe, or kind of reminds me of like a monk's robe. So I'm going to go with kind of a high priest energy. We have high priestess, high priest energy here. Okay, soul, sun in the middle. The apple indicates to me that this is a period of time of stabilized health. Okay, if you have an ongoing health issue, if you have like chronic pain, a chronic disease, anything, you know, like this, I'm not saying that it's going to be reversed or it will disappear or, you know, anything like that. Absolutely not. I'm not a doctor. I cannot give medical advice. I cannot. Even if I could, I would not say, because, right, that's pretty unethical. It would be unethical of me. But what I can say is when I see the apple, it lets me know that there's a period of time where things are pretty good. They're okay. Maybe no flare-ups, no like acute things happening. If you are in, you know, whatever this means to you individually, if you are in good health, okay, this is just kind of continuance of that, right? So I do feel like this will be a time of ease in that department, at least not having to worry, you know, things going awry. Okay, now with the household, we also have a person kind of standing out here. It looks like they're holding something. We also have the sun. It looks like well, rays coming down. It reminds me of a medieval drawing or painting of there's this one, it's like the sun, and when in each of the rays there are angels and pestilence. It's all kind of mixed in together. So I almost kind of feel like I don't think that there's like a onslaught, a deluge, if you will, of ordeals coming your way. But I feel like in this last period of time, there's just been a lot going on, a lot to worry about, or things that you have found to worry about, right? I know, I'm a Virgo too. So if I have a day where I'm not stressed about something, or I'm not worried about something, or I'm not problem solving something, I'll be like, yeah, it feels good today, but something feels off. What is going on? It just feels weird. Oh yeah, I'm not freaking out. I'm not running late. I'm not trying to juggle 50 things at the same time. Oh my goodness. So I feel like, you're on guard, right? You are waiting for the next thing. You're the other shoe to drop, as they say, right? What is next? What's gonna happen? Well, I do feel like the work here is to get out of this. Now, you still need to anticipate, and that's one of our superpowers, Virgo, is that we're so good and not only anticipating, but we're just really good at noticing, right? We're observant. We see how things are working. We walk into a room, we notice all of the little stuff going on, the little dramas and the people's behaviors and their attitudes, their energies, all of that. And so we're good at anticipating, but at some point it can become almost like a fixation, an obsession, a self-fulfilling prophecy, because we get it stuck in our head and it's like, oh, I already know this isn't gonna work. Well, yeah, going into it with that attitude, of course it's not gonna work. I know, I cringe even just hearing this, because dang it, it's me every time. I'm like, this is gonna be bad. I am not gonna like this. I cannot believe I said yes to this. And then I spend the rest of the time thinking, ugh, it's not as bad as I thought, but so I feel like the work really is getting back into that place of harmony, of balance, of finding your inspiration within the home, the domestic sector of your life. Allowing things to be okay. Allowing things to be stable. Allowing things to kind of just be what they are. Now, that is not easy work for us Virgos. Not at all. But it is most necessary. Right? We're Virgos, we're all about brute force. Now, not all of us and not all the time, but I think that we all can kind of toil in trying to let things just happen naturally. Like, we want it done. We want this thing going. Let's just hurry it along. Let's expedite this process. Well, it can't always be like that. And we need to learn patience, and we need to practice it as well. You might say, I am patient. I know. I mastered patience when I was 7 years old, Lenor. I'm an expert. Well, sometimes we need a refresher, right? Sometimes we're a little less patient than we like to give ourselves credit for. Sometimes it's about relinquishing the perception, the illusion really, of control. And I think that's the big work here. Okay? Let's see. Now it looks like it says if, IF, and NO. And for some reason, I keep getting this in my head. If no one comes. What if no one comes? Are you having some kind of event or maybe holidays? I feel like there is worry here? What if no one comes? What if nobody shows up? How very Virgo of you, because I'm the same. I worry so much. We actually just had like a cookie decorating party for my daughter. It was her event. And we just kept getting cancellations right before. And I was so worried. I was freaking out. I'm like, this is going to be so bad. See, this is the same. It's going to be so bad. But I had to hold it together for my daughter. I wanted her to like not think anything was wrong. It ended up perfect, right? It was less people. It turned out better because you could have more like one-on-one with everybody. But I understand that anxiety. What if no one comes? Well, they will. And I actually think that more people are going to be around than you realize. Actually, I do. And I keep seeing 25 as well. 25. Now, I also see there's somebody who is represented in your life by the number 5. Okay, number 5. Maybe it's their birthday, their life path number. Maybe they're your 5th kid, 5th grandchild, 5th spouse. I don't know. There's a 5 there for some reason. But it says, I love 5. Okay, and I feel like this connection, there will be in this cycle coming up, in the beginning of this new year, a lot of time together. A reconnecting, like a reestablishment of your bond, okay? So I see them being really close with you. Now, we also have, it looks like a person standing with a bird right here, okay? Also down here, and they remind me of geese, okay? So I feel like, I feel like you have maybe a younger person in your life who tells a lot of, I'm not going to say lies. I mean, obviously it's a lie, but fibs, right? Like they're making up stories. I don't think it's your child, but I feel like it's somebody, maybe a grandchild, maybe you're like auntie or uncle or, you know, a caretaker, maybe you work in childcare, I don't know. But this particular kid, coming up with all kinds of fantastical stuff, right? Presenting it as fact. Maybe exploring their imagination, maybe they're just bored and they, you know, have a creative mind. Maybe there's stuff that they're going through, you know, and this is kind of how they cope with it. But I feel like you are very protective. You're very protective. Like you yourself kind of bring them under, you know, your wing, right? And I feel like in a situation like this, and of course it's going to be so nuanced to each individual dynamic, but I feel like this is kind of it's like a crossroads, right? The sign on the crossroads. And kind of really important how you are going to go forward supporting this person. And I think, right, maybe offering them an outlet. Looking into possibly, well, go and look up the word sublimation. Okay, sublimation. This is the idea of putting things that maybe are negative, maybe they are taboo, maybe it is stuff that only you are interested in, it's only particular to your own experience or whatever, right? And taking this energy and putting it into some kind of artwork, an outlet that is creative, right? And this is useful, I think, for anybody who is going through it or maybe feeling like life is pretty good, but there's just this thing, you know, and I'm saying this, I'm touching my chest here, right over my heart. But this thing, and it's growing, and it feels like a ball of pent up energy. And it could be anxiety. It could end up being anger. It could be, you know, just acting impulsively, right? Grasping on to whatever you can. There is a moment often in people's lives where they start getting into this mode of talking themselves up or making up stories, or, you know, kind of trying to paint themselves as something more important, or even self-degradation, you know, whatever. And I feel like this is like those first initial, it's like a knock on the door. And it's only going to get louder. It's only going to get more erratic. It's only going to get more deeply rooted in the person. But if we make a decision to support somebody like this, to help them maybe express themselves, find some way to like let some of this out, not let it become a blockage for them, or maybe a point of supreme frustration that turns into, like I said, that anger, feeling unheard, unseen, unnoticed, nobody listening, and not knowing where to put that. I think that's the problem. Not only young people, a lot of us. I would go as far to say we've all had moments like this in our lives. But I think it has become so prominent because we live in a weird world where it's like everybody has a platform to express themselves. Not everybody utilizes that, but there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot. And there's a lot of pressure to figure out, how can I make my mark? How can I get noticed? How do I stand out among the rest? And it's not just online. We take that into our waking world, right? And especially if you are younger and you've grown up on the internet, or even just in a culture, right? And this is a global culture of people vying for attention, to be seen. It used to be, I mean, just, 100 years ago, it was a very particular group of people who were performing, who were writing, who were being published, who were making art that people were looking at. Now, it's so much. There's so much, right? And so helping somebody who is young with all of your wisdom, which I know you have plenty, Virgo, this is very important work. It's very important work. We're helping guide people away from, hopefully, those destructive sectors that, especially a sensitive person can be very drawn to, especially a creative person can be very drawn to. I feel like you're dealing with somebody who has the soul of a poet here. And these are we have to look out for all the kids, right? But these sensitive children, creative children, these beloved children, and they don't just have to be little, I mean, they might be 25 years old. I still am like, that kid is 25. I'm getting old like that, I guess. But yeah, I think it's very important. It might be some of the most important work we do in life, right? And I'm not just saying for money. This is not just if you're in some kind of role where you are teaching. We're constantly, our work is communal, right? It's tribal. We are interconnected. Even if you're a solitary person like myself, like my family, shout out to my husband over at Dove and Serpent Tarot. Go check him out. He's amazing. His name is Paul, by the way. I always bring it up, we're solitary. We are. Even within our own family dynamic, we're all very solitary in our own ways. But we're all interconnected, all of us, right? And so it is our work, it is our duty to be helping one another. Okay? So I see you. I see you, and I see you doing the good work. And I do. I think this kid ends up having a pretty good experience. Now, we also have the name. It looks like Ella. E-L-A. Ella. Ella. Now, I know some Ellas have two L's, but this one seems to only have one. We have the number 22, and we have AM. So something maybe in the morning, something with the morning. Let's take a look over here. I want to see. We have, it looks like a little swan, another bird over here. And it looks like an adult and a child walking. I'm almost imagining going to school. And I wonder if when you were young, maybe mom was at home, or maybe older sister or somebody would walk you to school, take you to school. But I feel like I almost feel like you had this very close-knit experience at home that felt safe, like it was your little nest, right? And when you had to go out in the world, it was difficult. I don't know, maybe you got bullied, or people weren't nice, or you felt like you didn't belong for some reason. You just wanted to be at home. You wanted to be with your people, with your parents, your mom, sisters, whoever it was. And I feel like as time went on, as you got older, you blossomed, you became this beautiful swan in your life, and the attention changed. And I think that you became accepted, but I feel like there's still that disconnect, because likely, I mean, unless you moved around, maybe you went to school with the same people, or at least, you knew each other to some degree. And for people to go from being cruel to you to all of a sudden, as you get older and you kind of mature and become, I guess the more full-formed adult, getting that attention from people who at one time were very harmful to you emotionally, psychically, and so on, that is a difficult thing to navigate. And I think that this has informed you as you've gone on in your life. I think that in some ways that it has made it difficult for you to connect to people very deeply. But the ones that you have, like, they're forever. You're one of those people, you have at least one or two people you've known forever. And you hold on to these relationships that are true. But, your life is also populated with a lot of acquaintances. And it makes it hard, I think, for you at times. Ultimately to want to be around people. I think, I think that you see through people's SH real easily. People, they put it on thick, you see right through it. It's not, you're not being fooled, okay? I think for this, though, it almost feels like returning to that child that was hurt. Going back to when you did feel vulnerable and chastised or made fun of, or, you know, to feel less. And I think that that's where some real serious work maybe needs to begin, with that inner child being there, protecting self. When I know that I'm doing, like, when my feelings really, when I get my feelings, I know often I got to get in there. I got to start using active imagination, you know, meditation, self-talk, whatever, dream work, to get in there and see the inner child that I know for myself is very injured, has, you know, went through it, the worst kinds of things, and getting in there and raising myself, being there, sitting with myself, holding myself, doing the things and saying the things and just showing up for myself like nobody else would. Right? And where we, even if we had the best circumstances, the best caretakers, the best parents, there are places where we were hurt. There are places where we felt, you know, lost or forgotten or abandoned or neglected, or, you know, whatever it was. And so getting in there and doing some of that. And, you know, there are a lot of different techniques for inner child work. For me, I like to talk. I visualize myself being with my child self. I like to talk to myself. I like to talk in general. So, you know, I'm a rambler. So, you know, whatever it looks like for you. I would do some research. If you haven't done any inner child work, go look it up on the Google machine or whatever you use, and go see what kind of techniques, what kind of different activities. There are tons of workbooks and all kinds of stuff. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to do our lucky numbers. We have number 29, 92. Look at that. 29, 92. Perfection. Don't roll off. 81. Beautiful. Okay, and we're going to end with our Wild Offering Oracle cards. I'm just going to go ahead, go through, stop where it feels right. Flip this thing over. It says courage. Divine courage is not the absence of fear, but a nudge that says, keep going, do it, don't worry, all will be well. You have to get quiet enough to hear it. You have to get quiet enough to hear it. Dear Divine, may I feel your courage and your will. All right. Well, Virgo, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you. Also, again, thank you for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor. If you want to subscribe, hit that little bell button thing. It'll tell you when the next readings are coming out. And if you want to support the channel in some way, hitting that like button, that helps so much. Also, if you want to leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. Other than that, again, I'm just going to say, I love you, I love you, I love you. We're going to talk in a few days. Good night, good night, good night.